she's obviously been putting up with Daniel's for a while now. Though maybe if she put her foot down more often, she wouldn't have the most rowdy child in the land of make-believe. The other thing that really bugs me about Mr. Tiger is her lack of personality. I'll be the first to admit that the hatred towards Daniel...
What a gift to relish, a victim that can't...
Listen here! Nightmare Freddy! Do not breathe! Do not even think of freaking speaking! Do not even move at all! Do you have any idea what you just done? Lol. Lol. Lol.
Yeah, I get that oblivious parents are a typical cartoon trope, but when you have nearly a dozen kids with no parental guidance, it's a wonder they haven't burned down the house. Episodes like Brawl in the Family or April's Rules would have been over in 2 seconds if she had put her foot down and told her kids to cut the crap. Now, to be fair, her husband is equally to blame for the state of their household. And if I do another Father's Day ranking video, he'll definitely be on that list. But after 9 seasons with 2 more on the way, it's obvious Rita and her husband have no control over their kids. I mean, she's so absent, she doesn't even show her face for the first season. They are absolutely smart kids. Oh, responsibility. After she's had 11 kids and still hasn't figured out who is Number 8. If we're making a Mount Rushmore of bad cartoon mothers, then Marge Simpson is an easy contender for George Washington. Not because she's the worst, but because she was the worst. I feel like every bad cartoon mom in the past 3 decades has in one way or another been influenced by Marge. Yeah, I know she's technically a rip-off of Woodland Snow, who's a rip-off of Alice Creed for 20 years, but every bad cartoon mom nowadays feels like a Marge Simpson clone. And she didn't start out that way. When you look back at the early seasons of The Simpsons, Marge is the most morally grounded character in Springfield. But after 35 years on the air,
What are you
plagiarized.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Yes.
See what it is.
But the worst example has to be when she got addicted to gambling and abandoned her daughter to be a slot jockey. She screwed up so bad, I guess it's true what they say. Either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself turn into Marge Simpson. Number 7. Moms taking their cue from Marge Simpson. If you were to take every negative trait about Marge and crank it up to 11, you'd still have a better mother than Lois Strickland. While Marge is mostly neglectful to her family, Lois openly antagonizes her kids at every turn, especially Meg, who she repeatedly blames for ruining her life. And when Meg finally calls her out for being a terrible mom, the whole family turns on each other instead of acknowledging their toxic personality. She even guilts Meg into going back to being the family punching bag just so the family can stay together, even though they
Please deposit 5 coins.
not done.
Please deposit 5 coins. Please deposit 5 coins.
Openly resent her kids.
I am given flesh to be your tormentor.
Please deposit 5 coins.
But if the best thing about her is that she's the less abusive parent, she's not winning a Mother of the Year award anytime soon.
What a gift to relish, a victim that can't perish.
Now we're getting into the deep cuts. If you've never seen The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, you might not even realize that Dr. Robotnik has a mom who's even more batshit insane than he is. Mama Robotnik only appeared in a handful of episodes, but she definitely left a mental scar in the minds of every sexually confused 90s kid. In her debut episode, she breaks out of the mental asylum to blackmail her son into getting her a birthday gift. And we quickly see why Eggman had her locked up in the first place. When she isn't threatening to beat him into the ground, she's criticizing every aspect of his life and calling him a complete failure. I mean, she's not wrong, but it's still rude. It's no surprise that she ends up scaring the shit out of everyone. only compliment I can give her is that she's much better at trapping Sonic than her son is. I feel like the show would have been over a lot sooner if she was the main villain. I'm just saying, if we don't get Jim Carrey as Mama Robotnik in Sonic 4, then what the hell are we even doing with this franchise? Number 5. Well, this was a long time coming. Now, arguably, every parent in South Park is an S-tier parent. But I wanted to highlight the mom who I personally thought was the worst. Some of you might argue that Cartman or Butter's moms are worse than either. And while those two are definitely terrible in their own right, at least neither of them incited a war with an entire country. Yeah, you know someone is bad when declaring war against Canada is the least deplorable thing they've ever done. It was no surprise to see Cartman get all the other kids to agree that Kyle's mom is a bitch. Sheila is every bad mom stereotype screamed into a megaphone at the exact same time. Whenever she's on screen, I have to hit the mute button, otherwise my ears will start to bleed. It's hard to imagine Kyle being as well put together as he is when he has the worst mother anyone could ask for. While I can appreciate that she doesn't take shit from her kids, unlike some of the other parents on this show, Sheila is... Yeah, the only thing worse than genociding an entire country is genociding an entire fantasy race of your own people. While Odalia Blight might have started out as your stereotypical rich bitch mom who turns her nose up at everyone, she quickly devolved into one of the most despised characters in the whole show. I mean, the Owl House has a villain who tries to kill every magical creature in existence, and Odalia is still the most hated character. Not only does she dictate over every aspect of her kids' lives, but she even treats her own husband like he's a pet. She obviously has no loyalty to her own family, much less her own kind. I mean, she was willing to go along with a crazy old man's mass murder plot because she thought it meant she would get to hold on to her superficial status. Maybe if Edith had kicked her ass more in high school, she wouldn't be such a smug, self-entitled sociopath. The only nice thing I can say about her is that at least she doesn't care if her daughter is in a relationship with another girl, which is more than I can say about some of the executives at Disney. Number 3.
No, that's mom.
Well, we finally reached the top 3. Now, some of you might say this one shouldn't count, since Mom is supposed to be the villain of the show. But just because someone is supposed to be a caricature of a bad mom, that doesn't excuse them for being a bad mom. Or Carol Miller is not only a bad mother figure to the countless communities she apparently has control of, but she's also a bad mom to her actual kids. It's obvious that she sees her offspring as burdens who only exist to help her further her own interests. Not only is she manipulative and two-faced to everyone around her, but she'll even go as far as to try to kill someone just to get what she wants, no matter how benign it is. This is someone who clearly has no qualms with buying up whatever she wants to create an unholy monopoly over everyone and everything. Good thing that could never happen in real life. I don't know if this show predicted evil billionaire behavior, or maybe this is just an accurate representation of what billionaires have always been. Either way, she's easily one of the top 3 worst cartoon moms ever created. Number 2.
Sorry, I'm not a classic maternal archetype.
Good God, where do I even begin with this one? Beth Smith is a violent, manipulative, self-obsessed psychopath, and she was all those things before she became a mom. Beth feels like the personification of daddy issues on crack. Rick hit the nail on the head when he said the acorn flopped straight down from the family tree. Not only does she have the most toxic marriage in the entire universe, but she also has the most toxic family in any cartoon ever. This is openly admitted that her kids prevented her from following her dreams, but somehow has the gall to click favorites. You would think that divorcing her husband would actually improve the family's dynamic, but somehow it makes it even worse. While Beth inherited a lot of her awful traits from her father, that's no excuse for her to act like she's superior to everyone in her household. Beth both resents her family for holding her back, while simultaneously depending on them to validate her overinflated ego. And the only thing worse than one Beth Smith is 2 Beth Smiths. This is a woman so obsessed with herself that nobody was surprised when she had a self-sexuous affair with her own clone. I stopped watching Rick and Morty after season 6, but I can't imagine she's gotten any better. Before we get into the worst cartoon mom of all time, I want to take a moment to shine a spotlight on one of the best cartoon moms I've seen in recent years. It should be no surprise that, in addition to great autism representation, Charles Lecter also has great parental representation. After watching countless clips of cartoon parents neglecting their health, Paul is a breath of fresh air. Not only is she loving and caring, but she's incredibly patient and understanding when it comes to helping her son navigate a confusing world. The reason I'm highlighting her is because she's voiced by Heather Bambrick, who you might recognize for voicing another PBS mom.
Daniel, you cannot hurt your sister.
Yeah, how ironic is it that the actor who voiced one of the worst cartoon moms has gone on to voice one of the most beloved cartoon moms? It's also interesting to note that Carl's parents are actually divorced, and I think Maude and Harold are the best portrayal of a divorced couple in any kid show ever. They show how divorce doesn't tear families apart, and that separated parents can still be amicable towards each other even after the marriage is ended. Though it is kind of weird that Carl's parents are named after the leads of a movie where a 20-year-old falls in love with an 80-year-old. It's an odd film to reference in a kid's show. And now let's finish things out with the undisputed worst cartoon mother of all time.
Finally.
Not Beatrice, are you really that surprised? Ever since I put out my first Bad Mom ranking videos, I've been flooded with comments about how I didn't bring up Doofenshmirtz's mom. And after going back through her, I can see why you all hate this woman so much. How do I even begin to list the atrocities Mrs. Doofenshmirtz has committed? While she may not have killed anyone, like some of the moms on this list, her actions have rippled out, causing her son to commit countless crimes. Almost every evil scheme Doofenshmirtz has ever cooked up has been directly linked to his mother's emotional abuse and neglect. I mean, how do you miss your own son's birth? And it'd be one thing if she was just a neglectful mom, but the way she openly worships Heinz's younger brother makes her truly reprehensible. Some fans have argued that Doofenshmirtz has exaggerated his own childhood misery to justify his terrible behavior. And yeah, you can make the argument that adult Doof should take responsibility for his own actions and stop blaming his mom for all his failures. But from what we do see of his mom in the present day, it's clear that Doofenshmirtz wasn't stretching the truth. Even with both her sons grown up, Mrs. Doofenshmirtz still shows blind favoritism to her youngest son, Roger. If you were to endure half the crap that Doofenshmirtz has endured as a child, you'd probably become a mad scientist. So while she may not have as high a body count as some of the other moms that I've mentioned, I think we can all agree that Mrs. Doofenshmirtz is the S-tier bad mom of S-tier bad moms. Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission a review for my channel. You can also become a channel member to get early access to all my uncensored videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicManMatt25 for even more FU content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
I'm gonna try and stun the night guard.
Whoever you are, the home insurance you need is in fun. Whether you've got a home that's old, a home that's old, an out-of-town change of pace, Daniel Tiger has a potty training episode that PBS does not want you to see. So, Daniel Tiger's toilet time tears, I thought I was done having to watch this diabolical div drop a deuce. But because God hates me, PBS produced another putrid potty special for Daniel Tiger's 7th season called Daniel Uses a New Bathroom, effectively rounding out the potty training Tiger trilogy. After all, it can spell third without turd. But when I tried to watch the episode, I quickly discovered it wasn't actually available anywhere. Not only is there no
Relies on the news only actionable if it causes a major impact, and, well, you'll see later. So instead of killing someone, which I believe has a backup plan, it does the next best thing and takes the mannequin.
So that's fun time Chica crossed off.
Has very clear developmental issues, and films this mannequin being mauled to death by his creation, the Sharkadile, broadcasting it on live TV, and convincing Lenny that her friend is dead. Again, all of this just because he couldn't go fucking sledding. It's quite funny how terrifying and evil this child really is.
Listen to me here.
To not go to Miami in fear of this creature. I should
Look.
also probably comment on
All
the
the characters, especially one is one of the
It's the point of the entire game. It just doesn't lend well whatsoever to live action, as it just proves that everyone in one woods suffers from a chromosomal disorder and gives me more justification to spite anyone and anything that comes from Michigan. The next victim is Luann, as the ghost ruin not only her reputation, but also frame her as a nuisance for the place she has her comedy gig at. We can officially add slander to the list. By the way, this part of a Loud House Christmas was sponsored by the Epic Movie Fonts. Also a reminder for the 5% of you Loud House lore enthusiasts that Mr. Coconuts is a sentient being. This not only makes Luann a hack, but it also makes the scene where the kid's in the base wherever he can breathe in a duffel bag that extra bit fucked up. Yeah, and Luann is a slapstick later, and Luann is successfully fired. You may see this as a blessing in disguise. I would agree.
Finally, I won his nightmare.
In the show, only got to the extent of being a dating ass. Here, he's still a devil child. Receives a fake video and informs people to cancel plans for Miami, officially making Lincoln's Christmas plans a success, and he gets annoyingly smug about it.
Right you are, Mom. I'm going to go get dressed up for the Christmas tree lighting right now. Great idea, Dad.
As I so eloquently put it on the 4th of April 2022, I hope Lincoln Loud burns to death. They even have him give a supervillain monologue while dressing up all fancy looking, and I'm genuinely wondering how people came out of this movie liking him. However, I will offer some ironic praise. There is not one, but 2 jokes about Lynn getting cucked. Very base. Also on the news, we're introduced to a new character. Who? Asked, I genuinely thought for a moment that this character was exclusively made for this movie. In actuality, this Rip Hardcore is from Season 2, Episode 42 of The Loud House, Call of Duty. A character so obscure and underutilized that he doesn't even have a page on the Loud House wiki. I'm not sure why they would use this character unless it was for continuity reasons, which is a whole different kind of worms, because this character isn't actually Rip Hardcore. It's instead a complete spastic.
What's for dinner?
I don't say that to be ableist to myself, it is merely a fact, being a stereotype of hardcore survival characters and freely assaulting a guy holding up a boom mic on live television.
What?
Can't have shit down in Michigan. From what I could tell, Rip Hardcore was hardcore,
Sure.
only what he accomplished, and was surprisingly chill. Truthfully, I don't actually care. I just find it funny that they pulled this character back for an attempt at continuity, and then just made a completely different one anyway for the sake of giving the movie a generic antagonist. Back at home, Lincoln suddenly develops a conscience, seeing all of his family upset with their plans ruined. It amazes me how he didn't see this coming. If his actions were less drastic and plain sadistic, you could say his reaction here is realistic, but a kid who's smart enough to plan out all of this monumental horse shit should probably have at least some form of emotional intelligence. Making Lincoln a Disney Channel tier supervillain is undoubtedly the movie's biggest mistake. It's not funny, it's not compelling, and it's certainly guaranteed to piss you off.
But I sense that you just feed a reflection. No wonder you're malnourished. Because you take major proteins and taste from the protein, but let me come to parts with you on this protein, things have a jam, bringing all your own genes, for your man like a news. And I say, oh, please don't teach this home with you. I might be your next away, snap in the truth. It's a riddle for you. Why is so raven like a writing desk? Every tune that precious me gets all that I need might be next.
Listen, Cupcake, I don't mean to sugarcoat this. You failed the demon, and as a human, you just seem to be ghosted. Psychopowers reading people's emotions and still don't see their only night to let you be from exploding. Rachel Ross, she's based and lost inside her bacon thoughts, and every breath that she crumbles until the cake
I protect the planet that you turn into a habitat for trauma, dumping onto any bachelor that happens past. That's why
Didn't see this coming. If his actions were less drastic and plain sadistic, you could say his reaction here is realistic, but a kid who's smart enough to plan out all of this monumental horse shit should probably have at least some form of emotional intelligence.
What?
Making
Where's the
Lincoln
chicken
a
tenders?
Disney Channel tier supervillain is undoubtedly the movie's biggest mistake. It's not funny, it's not compelling, and it's certainly guaranteed to piss you off. If I was unshackled from the psychotic oppression of functioning society, you may have even seen Animated Atrocity, the title of this video. This film takes place less than a year after the September 11th terrorist attack, although I will admit his interaction here was so bizarrely stupid that I audibly chuckled.
And what? That wasn't supposed to happen. I mean,
Also, Lenny got fired because she lost her mannequin. I'm going to assume they didn't mind her taking valuable work equipment home with her, sometimes for several days. Seems a little stingy, but will add to the list of sins. Luann then contemplates quitting comedy entirely because she got fired from her gig and, okay, I see what they're doing here. They are artificially creating problems now that didn't seem like logical consequences. Just so you can feel bad for Lincoln for not actually seeing these ones coming, because they don't make any fucking sense. Not only is this writing horrendous, one might even say schizophrenic, but it also doesn't alleviate the other consequences that made sense that Lincoln could have seen reasonably coming if he wasn't dumbed down for plot convenience, or the fact that Lincoln was an evil little gremlin to begin with. It's another classic Loud House trope, the unearned emotional scene. Symptoms upon viewing it may include a loss of the will to live, or in my case, psychopathic laughing fits.
I'm never speaking to Papa again. I just want a comedy too.
What? How does that compute? Also, while whoever played Luann did an okay job, arguments between her and Mr. Coconut aren't nearly as quirky as they are when animated and are instead catalyst for several questions, such as, take your kids to a mental institution, you fat fuck. But not all hope is lost, as Lisa develops a supposed cure for the crocodile, somehow, which will give them the illusion that they can safely travel to Miami without...
That sounds incredibly dangerous, am I right?
In the wise words of two... Fuck. What? This completely undoes any development Lincoln might have had from seeing his family upset, once again putting his selfishness forward in an act of unbridled, for the sake of not being cancelled, tomfoolery, choosing to spray the substance directly into Lynn's face to see if it worked, causing him to lose complete control of his motor functions and somehow reduces his scarily low IQ into single digits. Just a reminder that Lincoln receives no punishment for this that is even remotely appropriate. The news comes back on, once again reaffirming how terrible this character is, showing the crocodile being driven through Royal Woods, because Lincoln and Clyde simply couldn't play this out a little smarter. And now it is believed that the crocodile is in Royal Woods. A state of emergency is declared, and the tree lighting that Lily was due to partake in is cancelled. And of all the things that have happened so far, this is what caused Lincoln to fix what he's done. Sure, the face and voice of Lily appearing and sounding heartbroken is hard to ignore, but the fact that's what pushed him on the right path, and not any of this, is kind of frustrating. Lincoln admits that he is the crocodile to the local news. They reject his call, the most logical action to occur thus far, so he and Clyde dig it out from the woods and haul it over to the news crew, being followed by Mr. Worldwide, who I assume is testing a variation of them. Thought for a moment that this character was exclusively made for this movie. In actuality, this Rip Hardcore is from Season 2, Episode 42
Power
of The Loud
constraints.
House. Small of
Only
duty,
close the
character
doors
so
if
obscure and
absolutely
underutilized,
necessary.
it doesn't even have a page on the Loud House wiki. I'm not sure why they would use this character unless it was for continuity reasons, which is a whole different can of worms, because this character isn't actually Rip Hardcore. It's instead a complete spastic. I don't say that to be ableist to myself, it is merely a fact. Being a stereotype of hardcore survival characters and freely assaulting a guy holding up a boom mic on live television. Can't have shit down in Michigan. From what I could tell, Rip Hardcore was hardcore over what he accomplished and was surprisingly chill. Truthfully, I don't actually care. I just find it funny that they pulled this character back for an attempt at continuity and then just made a completely different one anyway for the sake of giving the movie a generic antagonist. Back at home, Lincoln suddenly developed a conscience seeing all of his family upset with their plans ruined. It's amazing to me how he didn't see this coming. If his actions were less drastic and plain sadistic, we could say his reaction here is realistic, but a kid who's smart enough to plan out all of this monumental horse shit should probably have at least some form of emotional intelligence. Making Lincoln a Disney Channel tier supervillain is undoubtedly the movie's biggest mistake. It's not funny, it's not compelling, and it's certainly guaranteed to piss you off. If I was unshackled from the psychotic oppression of functioning society, you may have even seen Animated Atrocity in the title of this video. This film takes place less than a year after the September 11th terrorist attacks, although I will admit this interaction here was so bizarrely stupid that I Hello everyone, Toonchi here. Cartoonchi, if you will. I am back from my prolonged stasis to provide you with yet another video about The Loud House. It's franchised like a phantom that I regularly see at the corner of my eye, waiting until I'm desperate for heat. That's enough about the positive impact that Benadryl has on my script writing. It appears that, while I was gone, the cartoon community's scorn was directed towards this freakish abomination, which reminded me that Nickelodeon is still dead certain that consumers want their live-action movies. Truthfully, it's this freakish abomination which reminded me that Nickelodeon is still dead certain that consumers want their live-action movies. Truthfully, no one does, but it's Nickelodeon and they're simply too big to fail, even if the adaptation is a long-dead franchise, as opposed to putting that federal reserve of cash towards something people actually like, because that would make 5% more sense. So it came to no one's shock that the Loud House would eventually fall victim to this.
The Loud House? He's kidding? Real?
I actually never planned on watching this as I considered it to be low-hanging fruit. However, I am slightly a psychopath and a masochist at heart, and watched it out of sheer boredom, hoping to receive some ironic enjoyment. I promptly left this review on Letterboxd, where I can be directly quoted as wishing death on a fictional child. This is an objectively correct assessment. You may be saying my attraction to setting bad children on fire is a negative trait. Counterpoint: Prometheus does not have his liver mutilated every day for me to ignore the allure of arson. As it stands, a Loud House Christmas can be enjoyed unironically if you are willing to go through the process of having a frontal lobotomy, or alternatively are the target audience. Saying that, Loud House seems to receive the "it's a show for babies" defense more than any show on Nickelodeon, despite it and the Oddly Gauntly Pariah being for the same age demographic. Now, I'm not saying this is incorrect, I'm saying you're hypocrites. I'm also aware that this is unmistakably a Christmas film. I am simply long past the point of caring, and Papa Toon needs his ad revenue. For every elf that suffers a heart ulceration from this act of sin, I pity you. In the movie, and I first have to give honest props to the set and costume designs, as the bar is quite literally on the floor in this regard. The set really makes the movie feel like a live-action cartoon, and care was obviously put into it. The costumes are also character accurate, however that's all the props I have. I don't want to make fun of the performances too much because despite being a devil, I do not take joy in bullying children, as many people felt inclined to make fun of the cast for this movie upon seeing the trailer. I'm not saying the performances are good, I'm saying you stack no paper and get no bitches. Either way, everyone involved at least looked like they were having fun. So as much as I may meme on this cursed product, the cast is not the issue. Although yes, this poster is hilarious because of the very visible printing error in the
Dirty dishes need them clean. These are your jeans. Like a boss. Stop and buckets on the tap. Say more words, that's a wrap. Wash and finish.
Some stories are so great, they stay with you forever.
Coach, aw, that's kind of sweet. That kind of makes up for him literally breaking her arm. You literally put her in a stretcher, Norman. There's also a C-plot with Bella and Joe trying to deliver pizzas by drone, and the only reason it exists is so that Norman can figure out that the aliens use the same batteries, I think. Bella, why would you send your pizzas by drone to Dillison's? Your cafe is right across the road. It's right there, I can see it. Just walk across the street like a normal person, Bella. Oh yeah, they also give Elvis a song in the middle of the movie for some reason, which to be fair, was actually foreshadowed.
I'm going to write a special song all about aliens.
But Steve Kleinman has to sing it in the Elvis voice, and it's terrible.
Strange things are happening all over the place. Coming up from outer space.
Strange things are happening all over the place. Flying saucers coming down from outer space. And yet, this isn't even the worst version. The US one is somehow worse. Oh God, make it stop! Although I will admit, the French version surprisingly goes really hard for some reason. The movie has been bad up to this point, but this is where it literally turns into Misty Island. No, really, I'm not kidding. So for some reason, the kids decide to go over to some random island near Pontypandy, so they just steal some boats and row over there with no adult supervision. Then on the island they meet Mike there. Oh yeah, I forgot, there's a D plot with Mike looking for aliens. Again, none of Mike's scenes add anything to the film, so why was he even there? What did he contribute to the story? We don't even see how Mike got to the island, he's just there now. It would have made more sense if Mike and the kids went together, you know, like maybe he's like an adult to supervise them or something, but no. Oh, but then for some reason Norman also wants to go to the island? Why, Paul and Laura? Why? Oh, and the alien also happens to be here too? How convenient. Then the alien shoots a giant laser beam into the sky. Okay, plot-wise, wouldn't it have made more sense for the alien to shoot the laser beam into the sky first, and that's why all the characters want to go to the island? Wouldn't that have made more sense? So anyway, Norman spooks the alien and he accidentally sets the whole island on fire. So wait, how did the fire start? The alien just dropped some petrol, which somehow ignited the entire island.
Well, that's it for today's episode. See you all next time. Bye!
Fireman Sam is like called out for that